Hi there, I just got back from a ride out and I just wanted to do a video on the CRF300 Rally and the CCM GP 450. A chap called Guy, a customer called Guy, wanted to ride both. He's got a CRF250L for trail work. He's got an Africa Twin that he's also took trail riding, but wants something smaller and possibly to replace the 250 L that he's got. So he's looking at the CRF and also the GP 450. So we've been off today, a mix of road and trails, some quite interesting trails I don't normally take people on, but he was a relatively experienced, or quite experienced rider, and was able to handle them, even though it's a bit muddy. So I just wanted to do, it's as your usual, a badly edited video, but there's some good thoughts come out of it. I think mainly because the CRF 300 Rally is new on the scene, very difficult to get hold of. And at £6,100, it's kind of expensive, I guess. It's getting up there. The GP450 is a bike that's a few years since it was discontinued, but now you can get good models, good examples for sort of £4,500. So for anybody who's waiting on a 300, maybe they might be tempted by a 450 Adventure. For me, the 300 Rally is nicely updated from the 250 Rally. The usable power, the rideability of the bike is greatly enhanced, or sufficiently enhanced by the engine. It's not a huge increase in capacity, but the way they've tuned it, the way it responds to mid-range acceleration, and it's overall gives it a bigger size bike that feels like you're dealing with more engine. It's quite a good trick to say actually the CC is only a slight gain. So for me, the engine is nice. It's a nice step up from the 250. And as an all-round bike, it is pretty good. It only starts to fall a bit apart when you ride it back to back with the CCM, which has got cracking suspension, like brilliant suspension on it as standard. Marzocchi fronts and attractive rear shock. And the difference in ride quality is big, is significant, and it makes the CCM better in a all-round road handling, off-road capable, bump absorption kind of way. And when you jump off it and onto the CRF, you think, crikey, they really did use cheap springs and shocks on the CRF 300. Now, when you ride it more, the 300, and you get used to it again, you stop noticing it so much. But the difference jumping one to the other is huge. And it does suggest that if you are going to buy a CRF Rally, then the gains in spending more on suspension would definitely be felt and benefited. Maybe not is not saying you need to do it, because, as I say, if you spend time on the bike, it becomes perfectly fine. But it just shows the what's probably the potential left in the bike that could be exploited by better suspension. I know John at Rally Raid is working with Tractive to work on a kit for the CRF 300, which improves the performance of the shock without significantly raising the seat height, which could be an issue for shorter riders. So I think he's going to call it sort of a Cero kit. So you get the improved performance, but with the ride height of standard, which people like. Obviously, there'll be a taller shock or another option for people who do want a taller seat height. But I think that could really enhance the bike, because it is let down a little bit by the suspension. But having said that, when you spend time on it and you start attacking the green lanes, it's a great bike. It's a really good bike by Honda. It's not class leading, and it's, you always think, God, Honda could do better than this, really. They should be able to, but in the world in which we live, it's probably the best they could do. They've got to build it to a price, they've got to sell it to a global audience, it's got to be compromised. And the difference there from the, let me show you around, from the CRF to the CCM is huge. The CCM was clearly a bike designed with a passion by a small team of people who went about picking the best components, the best parts, and the best architecture to create the ultimate 450 adventure bike. Yes, some criticise the engine, but I think the engine works well in it for me. It can get a bit vibey at higher revs, but it's got loads of punch, loads of torque, and it just gives it a lot of character. A lot more hit in the power stakes than the 300, and then the suspension front and rear just elevates it to a different league. The 20-litre tank is really useful, and I think all round they created a monster of an adventure bike that, as I've said in a previous video, probably wasn't appreciated until it's gone. The niggles, obviously, is, as you can see, there's no seat on it currently, and that's because It is a British built bike, which probably could do with a bit of Honda polish, because it seems to not want to start as easy as a bike should do. And it was trouble started today. It died on me in the Valley of the Rocks the other week, and it was the heater grip draining the charge, but now they're disconnected. It shouldn't do, but starting it is a bloody pig. And then you always fear that it's going to kill the battery, and then you're not going to be able to start it again, which is why I ride with jump leads, and why in future I'm going to ride with a spare battery. As you can see, it's got a lithium battery. Sorry about the cluttered backdrop, but so it's got a lithium battery, which are great, lightweight, etc. But they seem to me so temperamental and unpredictable, which as to why you would fit them on an adventure bike where you just want dependability. And I think probably that's where they got this wrong. They thought that weight mattered to the nth degree when they were building this bike, and it does to an extent, but I think it's a compromise between weight and durability. And I think on the electronic side of the bike, they got it wrong. The chassis, the engine, the suspension, they got it perfect. But I think in their heads they were trying to create sort of a Dakar-esque adventure bike, and maybe they should have just maybe added a few kilos and made it Honda dependable. And that's the only way I can fault the CCM, really, is that there is a bit of a fickle electrical system powering it, which for people like me who aren't overly mechanical could be an issue, which is why if you are waiting for CRF300 Rally and you just want a bike that starts, runs, rides, you know, maybe not the class-leading machine, but one that just does the job, then maybe it's worth waiting for the 300 Rally that you've got on order. If you're prepared to sacrifice a little bit of dependability, reliability, you're willing to spend a little bit of time in the garage fixing it when it goes wrong, then the upshot is that you're going to get a really dynamically capable, exciting, energising, wicked bike to ride. I love riding it, I really do. When it's because it carves through corners on tarmac, it's fantastic. It corners so flat, and the suspension just keeps it so sure-footed and tractable and precise. Everything that you lose in the Honda. In the corners, the Honda feels like you're dragging its arse around the corner because the suspension's that soft. On the CCM, it feels almost supermoto-like. And then you get on the trails, and it performs brilliantly on the trails. So the job they did with the suspension, the geometry and everything else, superb. And you're never going to get the same riding experience with a Honda unless you spend good money on some suspension. And then you're up to sort of £7,000 for CRF300 Rally. And then you think, £4.5 for a used CCM GP 450 makes good sense. So in conclusion, if you are a mechanical numpty, wait for the CRF 300. But if you're willing to take a bit of a punt on something a bit different and something that might act up on you, play up on you, give you headaches and palpitations, then the CCM, when it starts, is brilliant. And it's difficult to overcome that because it is so brilliant to ride. In my opinion, anyway, and this is only my opinion. Equally, though, the 300 Rally is a very good bike. And when I've had people compare or ride back-to-back the 250 Rally and the 300 Rally, they sway towards the 300 without any hesitation. So it is a step up. Sorry for waffling. It's been a long day. Cheers, bye.